Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I got a pretty exciting project. I'm going to be starting my locker install for my front differential. I already have rear e-lockers, so this is going to basically make me locked on front and rear. Alright guys, it's finally locker time. So I've got my Spartan locker I'm getting ready to put in. You can see my truck's already on jack stands. I'm not going to show you guys the disassembly of the hub and pulling out the CVs. If you guys are interested in that video, you can check out my manual hub video where I actually take everything apart and swap it. It's actually part of the same install, but I just separated the video out. Instruction manual, probably won't go through that since, you know, I can't check everything in here. There's a backlash measurement in here that I'm not going to check. Most people don't seem to check that, and just check the tolerance between the two gears to make sure that it's in spec. You'll need a couple tools. First of all, you'll need this E14 to kind of remove some of the housing, and then you'll need this 12mm one as well. This is a hex 12mm. This one is to remove the differential mount, and then you'll need a hex 10mm as well that I don't have here, but it's to drain the differential. You need some kind of punching tool to punch the ring gear to make sure you put it back in the same location. Some folks punch the bolts as well, but I think that's overkill. We'll see if I decide to do that or not. New gaskets for the differential. The red FIPG Toyota or Aisin gasket maker. I'm also going to be replacing the seals while I have everything out, since it's going to be a lot easier. Probably just as easy, but I figure it's already out, I might as well change them. And then obviously you need some gear oil. So I'm just using 75 weight 90, which is what this vehicle calls for. You can use 80 weight 90 if you like. Seems to work just fine for me. I just bought this because this was available in the biggest jug and it was the right weight, so I figured I'd just put this in there. So like I mentioned, first step is to remove the CV axle, and I'm not going to show you that. I'll kind of just pause the video for here and then resume when I get everything off, and then start taking off the differential, and I'll show you how to do that. Alright guys, now that we got all the CV axles out, and if you didn't catch that, you can catch that in another video, or if you don't know how to do that, you can catch that in the other video I have on the spindle swap. Alright guys, before we remove the differential mounts, we actually have to remove the drive shaft first. So it's good practice to punch your drive shaft so that you put it back on the same location. And I don't think I've punched this yet, so yep, never taken this off before. So I'm just gonna mark it in one location, and then when I put it back on, I'll just put it in the same spot. Now it doesn't really matter, to be honest. The drive shaft itself is balanced, and not here where it's connected to the differential, so I don't think it matters. So let me see. These look like they take 14s. Yep. And there's not a lot of room in here, but I think we can get to it. Should be nuts on the back side and studs on the other side. Okay, let me see if I can rest that up against the transmission and break it free. Yep, that looks like it will work. Well, I need some more muscle. Shouldn't be on there that tight, so let me just get a little bit more leverage. These lines are kind of in the way, but boy. Oh boy, everything's in the way right now. Oh boy. Alright, I think that'll work. I've got a little wobbly extension. Who knows if that helps or not, but use my little Milwaukee impact to get it off. Oh yeah, that was easy. Yeah, let's do that. That's much easier than what I was doing earlier. So there is a little lock washer that went on this side of the flange, and the nut was on the other side. Actually, let me get a pry bar. Alright. And I'll just rest it right here on the sway bar, I guess. Yeah. Next I'm going to start removing all the fasteners. One of them is actually right here. I'll go ahead and just do that right now actually. I think there's only 3 fasteners. This one and the 2 in the front. Alright, so that fastener is a hex head 12mm, like I mentioned earlier. And let's see how tough it is. Oh yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad at all. Zip it out. Okay, that's weird. It's like a nut. And there's a stud in here, which is gonna suck. I think that's the worst part of this job, is getting that stud to clear. Alright, and then the 2 front ones. Let me move the camera. So the other 2 bolts holding it in are this one right here and this one over here. And it looks like they're 19mm. So I'm going to just zip those out. Good old impact. And I'll leave those in there for now actually, because I need to disconnect all the vacuum line for the ADD, and there's probably an electrical connector somewhere up in there. So I'll go ahead and do that now. One thing I didn't mention is these bolts actually have a nut on top. It looks like it's spinning up here. I'll go ahead and grab that with a open-end wrench. I'll actually leave it right now though until I actually disconnect all the vacuum lines and the electrical connector. Alright guys, so that's the connector right there. I'm right under the driver's side. So you see that white connector? It's right in the middle of the frame right now, and there's 3 lines that come out of it, and I've got to remove all those. It's kind of hard to film by myself and show you guys that, but let me see if I can stick the camera up in here somehow. But those are the ones we're after. Well, hopefully you guys can see, but if not, I apologize. So this is the connector. There we go. Alright, let me see if I can get another flashlight in here. Alright, so I do see the 3 hoses.
mark them because I have no idea. Two of them are the same size, and one of them is the larger one, and one of them has blue marking on the hose itself. So you can kind of see there the breather and the two hoses. The red one's right to the side of it. You can't really see right now, but that's looking at it from the, here's the shock on the front, driver. But yeah, so I just used, let me zoom out a little bit. Use this part of the frame right here. I just wedged it out like that, and it came off pretty easily. Thank goodness. Alright guys, I'm getting ready to pull out the diff. I heard it's a pain. We'll see how it goes. Disconnected all the vacuum lines and breathers. It should work. Okay. We got movement, which is nice. Look at this thing. It's all white. Fell on my chair, and this bolt is stuck. Wow, this thing's heavy, which is expected. I'll move some stuff out of the way. All right. Let's take a look at what we're dealing with here. Let's hope no more gear oil falls on my face. So I hear that it's going to hit up against the transmission housing. And I'm going to see if that's the case. Driver's side bracket. See if that helps. Because then I can actually slide it further towards the driver's side now. Alright guys, so I'm going to remove the transmission mount right there. It's right there. And there's only, I think, 14 millimeters that are holding it on. I'll find out for you. And then what I'm going to do is jack it up a little bit and see if I can get more room for the flange to clear. Let me show you actually what's causing the problem. So you see the flange there? Let me see. So you can see the flange right there, and right on top of it is the bell housing. It's hitting against that, and with that there, I can't clear the stud from the the rear mount. So I've got to jack it up a little bit and see if I can get more room. These shouldn't be that tight. It's a little loose. So that's the oil pan. I'm going to jack it up from there. And you probably want to use a block of wood. To help distribute the weight and also to not bend anything. I mean, we're not going to be putting a lot of load on here, but let me make sure it's kind of centered, I guess. Alright, let's see if it moves. Oh boy. I think that's it. It's getting really hard. So you can see, moved it about an inch. And let's see on this side. How we're looking. Well, that thing is kind of tilting down, so we don't really know. But I'll see if I can get it out now. All right. You guys see how this stud is looking? Well, gear oil just fell in my face. That tastes disgusting. Alright, let me come right back and spit all this gear oil out. It's disgusting. Alright guys, I'm back. Funny enough, gear oil isn't as bad as gasoline. Let's see. So, it's on the bell housing again, but I think once I lift this forward, it should come off. Yep, I think that's it right there. Lower the jack. I think it'll come out now. Wait, what? Yeah. I don't know what it's stuck on. Okay. I think we're home. Okay. Down a little bit more. Whoa, 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 whoa. Don't come down yet. Over here. Alright, there we go. It's free. It's free, guys. Alright, guys. So it is possible to do this solo, as you can see. Got it out. Didn't bend very many of those vacuum lines that I mentioned. And yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and degrease the hell out of this thing because I don't know, it looks like it's had oil leaking all over it for a while, probably from the past. My rig doesn't leak any oil right now, as far as I know. I'm gonna clean the hell out of it and then start disassembling it and putting the locker in. Alright guys, got her cleaned up a little bit. So I'm gonna start disassembling her and, you know, making it lighter, obviously, to pick up. I really only need this side of it. I'm gonna take out this side and disconnect the bracket and then get to the gears. Alright guys, it's time to disassemble everything. Already got this bracket off. It was just held on by this 12mm. Took out the breather. Yeah, take out the whole hose actually. Just comes off pretty easily. And then gotta take these two E14s and then these two back here. These ones go all the way through. So let's see what we can do. I imagine these are gonna be rusted. Oh yeah. Yeah, not bad. Let's try this one now. Okay, that wasn't too bad either. I mean, it is pretty tight. It'd help to have somebody step on it for you. I'll try this at home, I guess. Let me sit on it. Maybe that'll help. I guess I don't weigh enough. It's going. Oh, I do weigh enough. Okay. Let's go after the other one now. This is gonna make an entertaining video. Okay. Let's see. Actually, this one is the last one. It's kind of got a bunch of dirt all over it. Doesn't want to fit. Actually, this thing's in the way. Which kind of sucks. This is too long. I'm gonna have to hammer it in. Grab a hammer. Alright, well, it's gonna rub up against that, but I don't think it matters. Okay. I think it gave finally. Everything has to be hard. These two front ones. Is that really Loctite? No. FIPG. Funness. Oh boy. Finally. Alright. So we should be able to free this now by just hitting it a couple times. Get a rubber mallet. Hit this way. There we go. Just hit along these ears here. And there we go. So this one we don't need to mess around with right now. We'll have to clean that surface up though. Okay. Let me move you guys up there on the bench now. Alright guys, we're up here on the bench now and gonna take apart all these bolts.
Let's see what size it is. I suspect it's a 17. Let's check. No. 14? That's interesting. Yeah, they're all 14s. Yeah. These ones you don't really need to keep track of. Alright, so we're gonna hit this out now. There's a couple of like spots on the other side here where you can actually put like one of these drifts and tap it. So let me do that. There's actually spots all around. Seems like it. But it's actually, ow. It's actually a nice little lip right here and right here to hit from. Should be out, so let me find something to prop it with gently. Don't want to damage the surface. I have other problems that definitely don't want to deal with. Okay, I think it's just too heavy, so let me flip it around. Go this way. Okay. Okay, there we go. It's always a good idea to check your bearings to see if there's any like rough spots. It means that, well, they're shot. This one looks pretty good on that side. I'll check the other side later. And the housing looks pretty good as well. Check my pinion gear. There's no chips, so that's good. You just gotta take this thing out. It's kind of stuck on here still. But there's a C-clip in here that I'm gonna have to pry a little bit on the on this cross pin to move it down a little bit, and then I can figure out how to hammer it out. It's just like the CV axle C-clip. And then once I get that out, then I'll have access, I'll be able to take this out and then have access to the bolts in the back. So I got a couple pry bars here, and we're gonna see if we can pry, I guess I think it's called an intermediate shaft or something. It's kind of the piece that connects to the other part of the housing. And it needs to come out because it's kind of in the way. So there's a cross pin in here. So this shaft right here needs to come down a little bit. So let me see if I can move it. And it's just held in there by a CV clip. Actually, I might have to elevate this a little bit. Alright guys, so I've elevated the thing so that I can take that pin, that cross shaft out. It's kind of like a mini CV axle, I guess. But normally you would use like a puller on the other side. I don't have a puller. Saw somebody doing this on YouTube. He just stuck this in here and kind of wedged it between the cross pin and that shaft and just hit it a couple times with a sledgehammer, and it came out.
Basically, you're just wedging this screwdriver in between those two things. Cross pin's not going to be reused, so even if we damage it, it's not the end of the world. If you recall, there's a new one in the kit. Okay, so it's starting to move. There you go. And now, let me show you this real quick. Okay, so that shaft down there used to be all the way up. Now it's depressed. All right, let's finish it the rest of the way now and see if we can get it out of there. Try not to damage your ring gear. We're gonna reuse these. The rest, well, we don't really care. Actually, that pry bar is not working that well. Oh, this flathead's working a lot better. It's actually a circle in between. It's free. So, hang on a second. Here. So you can see here, the C-clip was keeping it in just like a CV axle. And I just put the screwdriver in this hole and I started knocking it out. And now it's out. So this is a carrier. And check these bearings. These look fine. Normally you'll see like scoring. You'll see like scoring on the bearings. Like it's been rubbing up against something. So you know they're bad. Okay, so the next step is a crucial step, which is making sure that whatever you take apart, it goes back in the same way. So you can see here, the ring gear is held on by these bolts, and they are actually locked into place with these tabs. And you got to take all these tabs out, and then what you want to do is have a starter location. Let's say like this is position 1. You can mark the ring gear here and mark the carrier housing, which I'll do that now. And that's how you know it goes back with this location. And then for the bolts, what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna keep track of them as well, even though it probably doesn't matter. But I'll store the bolts in a sequential order, and then I'll know that it starts here and I'm gonna go clockwise. And then I'll just store these bolts in a clockwise manner. So I'm gonna go ahead and punch the ring gear and the carrier. So one mark there, and then let me make sure that lines up at least somewhat decent. It doesn't really have to be perfect, because you recall these bolts are going to line up and it doesn't really matter. So there's 2 marks on here now. You probably can't see that, but there's 2 dimples, and there shouldn't be any dimples anywhere else, hopefully. Otherwise that would be a bad day. So just get yourself a flathead and start bending these tabs away. And it probably helps actually to put this in the vise, so let me do that.
Alright, so you'll notice that I numbered all the bolts, so I'll just put them back where they were. I don't know if that's needed, but figure whatever you're taking apart, especially on gears, probably want to put it back where it was. You'll notice I also punched the ring gear and the carrier itself and the number 1 bolt, so I know that all these need to line up. And then I'm going to store these bolts in order. Well, I already numbered them, so I don't need to store them anymore, but I'll put them back in, and it's clockwise, so I'll start with number 1 here and then 2 through 4. But let's go ahead and take everything apart. Not on that tight. that's all of them. Probably just set these in the same location so don't lose keep track of them as much. So the ring gear is probably going to be stuck on here, as you can see. And what you can do is either you can hit it right here, or you can put the bolts back in. Just take a couple bolts. Just take these two. And you can whack it a couple times. You want to make sure you use this brass so you don't damage your gears. See that? That scratched this guy more than anything. Alright, looks like it's starting to separate. That's the sound of ring gear separation. Okay. Alright, that's the ring gear. Just leave that there, I guess. We don't really need to mess with it. So this is the one we want to mess with. And the reason why I had to take that out is because this cross pin right here was going to hit this, and on some of these carriers you actually can remove all of this stuff without having to take off the ring gear, but it's kind of what we had to deal with. So next step is, so one, you'll probably want to mark your spider gears so that when you put it back in, it goes back in the right location if you had to reuse it. So normally you just mark one of the top or the bottom. The top's easier. And then these side ones I don't think really matter, but I think I'll mark them anyways. So I don't think I ever will go back to this, but it doesn't hurt doing this. So I don't think that did it, but yeah. So just something like that. Now I'll tell you this one goes up here, and these aren't interchangeable, so let's say we mark this one with this side. Alright, so there's a shaft or a locking pin in here, and actually that's actually why you have to remove the ring gear as well, because on this side there's a little hole and you have to knock it out. So let me see if I can do that. Oh wow, it fits perfectly in there. Found this Allen thingy in my tool chest over there, so that's what I got. Alright, there we go. This is the pin that was in there. Looks like it's not side specific, so you can see here that circle opened up as I was punching it out, which is fine. I'm gonna hammer it back in once we get the new one. And you'll see the pin's already coming out. So let's just pull it out, I guess. So this pin only goes in one way. The hole obviously has to line up with that pin earlier. We're not going to reuse this one. And then what you want to do is rotate it. And there's washers in the back. Make sure you keep those aligned. And let me see. Still need to punch one of these gears. So that's the top one. You can see the punch mark there. So I'll know how it goes back. This is where the CV interface is. Make sure there's no washers in here because Spartan tells you not to reuse any of them. This one looks like it needs some persuasion. No. Okay. Alright, so what you want to do is clean the carrier out a little bit. Get some brake clean. Alright guys, it's clean now, so grab your locker kit and we're going to start prepping the locker. Actually, let me read the instructions. Probably missed a lot of them already, but it doesn't matter. Loosen lug nuts, blah blah blah, slide out axles, get the housing, use a punch, mark the bearing caps. We don't have bearing caps on this kind of differential. Check your backlash, whatever. Pull out carrier, make note of races. Don't have any of that. Loosen bolts, remove top half of carrier, did that already. Remove the cross shaft pin, spider gears and thrust washers. Clean the carrier and side gears thoroughly. Inspect carrier case. Okay, installation. Cool. Alright. Let me disassemble or cut all these things open. Alright, so what I've seen, you need these, and should have 4 of them with 4 springs and 4 pins. And all you need to do is stick these guys. So put the spring in to this hole, put that in there, stick it down, and the pin will hold it in place like that. So you just want to do that to all of them. It might be a good idea to put gear oil on this stuff first to kind of pre-lubricate. Actually, I probably will do that. Let me go get some. Alright, got some 80 weight 90, which isn't the oil that's going to go in there, but that's okay. Let me see if I can find like a little cup or something. So I can dump some oil in there. Alright, dug through the kitchen and found this cup. doesn't say you need to do this, but I know these things are loud, so I kind of feel like I should. So like I said, stick it in there, and then stick the pin in to hold it. All the way down. Alright. This one I'm going to take out real quick. Which, wow, that's weird. It's kind of stuck in there. See, that's supposed to come out when I pull it out, which is weird that it isn't. Like this one, see? Let me fix it a little bit. There we go. This is probably why you need lubrication. So I'm going to lube it up. It's messy, but it's okay. Alright, so do that to all of them, and then we'll get to assembling it. So what you want to do now is, now that all of these are assembled, put this plate in. This is kind of like that, the one that goes on the top and the bottom. This is where the CV interfaces with. And I'll probably put some gear oil on it as well. Might as well. Just a little bit. I know that some people put grease on here, which, I mean, it's cleaner, I guess. I'm not really a big fan of grease because it turns your gear oil into, you know, gel, I guess. And you have to change your oil, which, yeah, I know I'm not going to do that. So, especially with these things constantly stripping the head on that drain bolt. So it goes in like that, these two, and then the other pieces go in between. So, well, look at that. Actually, oh, well, it was holding for me. Not anymore. Alright, so these, the washer, or these, whatever these are, the washers, this, it has to go like this. This hollow side goes against the teeth. And the packaging, I think it was like this, which is wrong. Make sure it goes in like that. And then obviously the teeth, assuming this guy was up, it goes against just like that. And let's make sure it fits. Yeah, like that. Okay, and then the other piece goes in the same way. And I just realized I didn't lubricate this thing. So I'm going to pull it back out and lubricate it a little bit. Just a little. Pre-lubrication is better than no lubrication. I mean, these things are notorious for making a lot of noise, so I guess this won't hurt. Shouldn't hurt. And once everything is in, you'll pull the pins, and not yet though, but kind of show you that. And the pins kind of lock in there forever. They're a pain to take out, so try not to pull the pins too early. Okay. So hollow side goes towards the teeth, and that doesn't look like it's gonna fit. Oh, okay, that way. Or not. It only goes in this way. So these pins are in the way, so I'm gonna have to bend them a little bit. And don't pull the pin. Try not to. Alright guys, so the battery kind of died as I was putting in this one. But as long as you bend the pins, they should go in. I mean, So I can't pull it out right now, but now that everything's kind of in there, you can pull the pins. So make sure you don't pull the pins in these little holes here. That's where the cross pin goes. So there's one. And then let me pull the other one on the other side. And you'll see it kind of pop up there. See? So that's how it kind of works. You don't want the pin to go in this one, okay? Those little guys. See, like this here, it's right here. You don't want to accidentally pull it over here. That'll be bad. Well, I guess it'll just fall out, but. Okay. And then the last one on the other side. It doesn't take much force to pull it out, so. Okay. Alright. So now this should all stay in place, and you can turn it freely if you like. Now, see that little spacer in there? You're gonna have to lift that later, but put the pin through. But you want to line all these up. But first thing you want to do actually is measure this gap, because there's a spec that needs to be met. And let me see if I can find the manual, which seems to have disappeared on me. It should be, I believe, 0.145. Let me put it to zero it out. Put it in there. 0.147. That's pretty close. Let me check another spot. It's essentially testing if your carrier has issues. And if it's out of spec, that means this carrier is worn out. Well, when it's in there, it's let me show you, 0.146 and 0.145. So it looks pretty good. All right. So what we're gonna do next is the cross pin, and all you need to do is rotate this so that it lines up with the hole, which it does. And then remember that spacer in there, you gotta make sure it's up. And then this hole needs to go on this side where the locking pin goes in. I'm gonna lubricate this a little bit. Let's get that guy up. And then make sure that hole, this hole here, lines up with this hole. And it's pretty easy to adjust right now, so that's good. It's probably all that lubrication. And then put your pin in. Probably won't want to go in, which is okay. And then make sure it goes all the way down, by the way. You know when the noise changes. And then remember this piece, we're going to want to crush that so it doesn't come back out. So you can see here this locker it's already locked. And then these springs, when it needs to pop out, it'll pop out, and that's where all the noise comes from, to kind of make it open diff. Let me find something to crush that. Okay, you guys won't be able to see this, but you just want to deform that piece of metal a little bit so it doesn't come out on accident. I know some of the other carriers, they don't even do this, but that's fine. Okay. It's deformed enough, it won't come out. Alright, so next step is reassembly of the ring gear, and there's a little tip for that. And the tip to get the ring gear back on is, let me find the marking, is to freeze this, or cool it down. It's already cool, but you can freeze it, put it in the freezer, and then heat up the ring gear, and then it should just slide right on. Right now it will not slide right on. So can show you. See here, it's not gonna fit. So I'm gonna go ahead and heat this up in the oven for about 15 minutes or so, and then put the carrier inside the freezer for a little bit. All right, guys. So to put the ring gear back on, like I mentioned, I'm gonna put this in the freezer. And I hope my wife doesn't find out because there's a lot of ice cream in here that's probably gonna go bad. Just kidding. So I'm not really sure how long I'm gonna put this in here yet, but we'll see. Probably half an hour maybe. And then the ring gear, we're gonna put it in the oven in the house. Let me show you. Alright guys, I got the oven set to bake 350, and I'm gonna toss the ring gear in here. Try not to burn myself. Burned myself a little bit. Darn it. Stinking wire. Okay. Let's hope that little piece of paper doesn't burn. Actually, let me get it out. Alright, so just let it cook. I'll check back on it in a little bit, and then we'll be able to reassemble the ring gear back onto the carrier. Alright guys, it's ready to come out, and suggest you use welding gloves to get it out. And I'm gonna run over to the freezer. Alright guys, I got it on my workbench. I'm gonna grab the carrier from the freezer. You want to set the ring gear this direction and line up your match marks. But also, you want to take a rag and clean up the surfaces. And try not to burn yourself, you know, because it is hot. And then the surface as well. Alright. Just make sure it's clean. Flip it around. Find your match mark, which no clue where it's at right now. It's hissing at me. It's right here. And this one looks like it's there. And then get the ring gear up. Try to anyways. Without burning yourself. It is hot. And you'll see it goes on. Ow. You'll see it actually will go on once it lines up. So there we go. And then just grab any old bolt and get it started to kind of hold things in place for you while you figure things out here. It's smoking right now. So it's all numbered, so it should be just a matter of putting them all back on and torquing them down. The torque spec for this is 71 foot-pounds. Actually, this one's not right. Good thing I looked at that and numbered these. Well, the The locking tabs are on the wrong side. And that one's not right either. 6 and 7, not 7, 6. Alright, there you go. So, you want to do this in a crisscross pattern, and I'm going to put it in the vise to do that. Alright guys, so we got it in the vise, and what we're going to do now is, I've got all the bolts in its place. I loosened them all, but what we're going to do is use red Loctite and then tighten them down, star pattern. Make sure our alignment marks still match, which they do. And then torque it down to 71 foot-pounds is what the factory calls for. You want to use red because you don't want this thing coming off. Yeah, you could probably get away with blue, I don't know. This is off-roading use, so, and lockers, I'd probably use red. And then make sure all these tabs are on the outside when you put this thing back in. It should all be on the outside, not the opposite. Okay, I'm gonna set the impact to 1 so it doesn't go crazy. Just kind of do it in a crisscross. Actually, alright, so I'm going to torque it down now to 71 foot-pounds. Okay. Alright, that should be it. Now we should just have to put it back into the carrier housing and all the other stuff that I took apart. Alright guys, before we put everything back together, we gotta clean up all this old crud and make it clean. I'm just gonna use my Dremel with this steel wire wheel. Seems to be working okay. Alright, that should do for that side. We'll get her cleaned up in a little bit. This side, just got a little razor blade to cut off the big chunks. Let's see if I can get something. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and get all this cleaned up with brake clean and all that good stuff and start reassembling everything. Alright guys, so before I put everything back together, I want to take the seals out before I forget. And it's easier to do it now. I don't actually have the right tool to pull it out when it's in the vehicle. You need kind of like a jaw puller, I think. maybe that seal puller would work, but from here, I can just, I can show you here. I can just knock it out from the inside. So I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna try this little guy. It actually fits through these holes. Alright, that worked out a lot better. So you can see here, I just use there's those holes in there. I just put the screwdriver in and knocked this guy out. So that's that. Let me match this up with the right one. Nope. This one looks like it is the right one right here. Alright, so that's that. And then the other side is on here, which I'll deal with that one later. So I'll go ahead and flip this around and put the new one in. Let's see here. So you probably want to clean all this, most definitely. And let me see. Yeah, get that flat. Running out of brake clean again. I suggest you guys buy at least 6. This is my 5th can. So we'll see if I need more. Okay. Alright, that's good. So this side was on the inside under here, so it went in this way. So make sure you put it in the right way. Need that gear oil again. And then you just gotta hammer it in. So it would help if you had a tool. It looks like it's actually going in pretty easily. But you can put a cup over here if you have that, or you can just use this guy actually. Let me see how this does before. Yeah, this works. Or not. Yeah, let me find that cup. Alright guys, I got a cup. This is from the press kit, and looks like it's a little too big. Let me see. Alright, yeah, that one looks better. Just want something that fits on the outside. And then just whack it in. All the way. Okay, I think that's good. It's nice and flush, which I don't recall if it was flush earlier, but I guess I'll find out if it fails, which it shouldn't. Alright, now that that seal's in and that's out of the way, we can move on to reassembling the differential.
forward to putting this back in, but it'll get me closer to completing this job. Alright, so I'm not gonna, well, I'll probably try to torque it actually. I think it's like 116 foot-pounds or something like that. Let me verify and I'll find out for you guys. So let me just cinch these up for now, and I'll talk them later once I get the other bracket on. So the other bracket, so let me see. So the other bracket on this side, this is the passenger side. This thing goes on the inside here. So let me get some Loctite on that as well. Might have had Loctite on it, I don't know. It's kind of red all around. Might be rust though, who knows. Okay, so this one, it looks like I need to elevate this a little bit. Okay. 19. Alright, so these are torqued, like I mentioned, 116 foot-pounds. Let's see, how am I gonna do this? I gotta step on this, I guess. Oh boy, that's tight. Okay, it's working. Okay, double check. Okay. Let's try this side now. Okay. All right. At this point, I'm ready to go back in. And it's not gonna be fun. Let me jack up the transmission back up. And I'm gonna get this on the jack so I can kind of roll it in. All right, so it's on the jack. I'm gonna jack it up slowly and figure out how I'm gonna lift this thing all the way in there by myself. I think I'm gonna have to lift the flange up over there to clear the frame, and then I can scoot it in some more. So let me try that. Okay. Okay, that worked. Almost cleared. It's like touching it. Let me see if I can just push it in there. Okay. It's kind of cleared it. Let me see what I can do from down here. almost in, guys. There we go. Well, it's in the stud is in. And now I cleared the bell housing, so I'm just gonna jack up the jack now. It's actually easier if you work from over there. You can actually see a whole lot. Let's see. Looks like we're good now, guys. Okay. Cleared the tranny. Studs in. Good to go. All right. That was the hardest part of this job, I would have to say. I mean, there's some frustrating parts, but that was hard. All right, that one's in. The bushing back on. Loctite. All right, I'll go ahead and take all these jacks out and then torque everything down. And you can just rest it up against the frame. Okay. Alright guys, I don't know if you can see that, but make sure you reconnect all those hoses up there. The vacuum line, the two vacuum lines, the blue one, the red one, and then the breather. And then make sure you put the clamp back on. Couldn't show it to you guys because, well, it's pretty hard to film. And then I didn't mention earlier, but make sure you torque that bolt in the back to 68 foot-pounds. Alright, we're going to put the drive shaft back on now, and if you recall, we put some match marks on here, and let's see if we can find them. Even if we don't, it's not a big deal, but I think it'd be a good idea to just put it back the way we found it. So, I wonder where it is. All this dirt falling on my eyes. It's not here. I don't see it. Well, looks like we're just putting it back on, and actually here it is. It's covered in dirt. Actually, no. Well, it doesn't matter. Just put it back on, to be honest. Guys, you guys don't need to worry about that thing. But I'm pretty sure it was somewhere right there. Alright, so just pick a spot and go with it. Like I said, the drive shaft itself is balanced and not the flange connection. So make sure you put the bolt and lock nut and on this side going that way. Now it's going to be impossible to get a torque wrench on here, so just go good and tight, I guess. Start one and then get another one on. Let's see.
Alright guys, I'm pretty much done with the installation of the locker. Obviously you're going to need to put gear oil in, but I'm not going to do that for this video. If you're interested in seeing the rest of the reassembly, you can check out the manual hub video. That's actually where I put the spindle back in and put the manual hubs back in. So if you guys are interested in some of the tools I use, you can check out the description. There were a lot of tools used in taking everything apart and getting everything back together. So just check the description for that. So if you guys are interested in more videos, just hit the subscribe button. I'll be sure to post a video of the locker being used on a trail once the trail's open back up, and I'll let you guys know how they perform on the road and as well as off-road. So just stay tuned and wait for those videos, and I'll catch you guys later.